The Canadian Prime Minister says he needs emergency powers to maintain public order. His critics say that Justin Trudeau is abusing his power.
That Trudeau's idiosyncratic combination of willfully blind ignorance, moral pretension, and narcissistic self-aggrandizement is so toxic that it borders on, if does not cross the line, into outright treason. Canada will have the worst growth prospects of the major industrial societies for the next 4 decades. Hi everyone. I've had the great privilege of traveling to 40 American cities in just about as many states and to 15 European countries in the last 4 months. In the waning days of the great COVID panic, and I've learned many things about our great and self-conscious nation. First, I have not traveled anywhere else where the citizens and the government are more neurotically and fascistically concerned about the pandemic. It may have escaped Canadians' notice, but virtually nowhere else in the civilized world is it now required to wear a mask, as it is still mandatory, damn us, in Canada's airports and on flights out of our benighted country. There is absolutely no excuse for this, except the punitive and appalling self-righteousness of the Trudeau Liberals. What else might you expect, however, from a government that also includes Chrystia Freeland, a deputy prime minister, who has literally bragged about her colleagues' appalling performance on the economic front, claiming that it is actually good and meet for Canadians to empty their wallets at the gas pumps so that the climate emergency, which simply does not exist, see Bjorn Lomborg's expert analysis, stays first and foremost in their all too careless, by liberal standards, consciences. I simply cannot believe that this absolute failure of economic policy is now being trumpeted as a positive accomplishment. How daring. It is almost impossible to overstate the degree to which Canada's international reputation has been damaged by the childish and ill-advised actions of our juvenile WEF marionette of a prime minister. The Americans I have talked to, including people very well placed politically on the Democratic and Republican front alike, listen in open-mouthed and disbelieving amazement when I recount the claim brought forth by the Trudeau Liberals and their hired Canadian Broadcasting Corporation bootlickers. Is Prime Minister Trudeau so daft and deluded that he failed to notice that these same MAGA terrorists are going to utterly shellac the hapless Democrats this coming fall and take the presidency in 2024, and that we will then have to talk, trade, and otherwise consort with them, as they are the perennial elephant on our doorstep, and that burning all bridges in that direction with casual derogation and outright lies might not be particularly politic? And the unfortunate answer to that question is, clearly, yes, the Honourable Mr. Trudeau is precisely that pretentious, presumptuous, careless, uninformed, daft, and deluded. But after all, in his own words, he doesn't bother himself with such trivialities as, quote, monetary policy, end quote. Third, on the international front, I have had extensive discussions with political and cultural figures in the UK, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Romania, Hungary, Estonia, Albania, Austria, Croatia, Slovenia, Poland, and Serbia. And I know for a fact, from first-hand communication, that Canada has hurt itself very badly on the reputational front with the derisive dismissal of the trucker convoy, I believe that the federal Liberals have run the most incompetent administration in Canadian history. That they have not yet done all the terrible damage that they are going to do. That Canadians will not wake to the reality of the situation, because an awakening at that level requires a level of conceptual restructuring and consequent emotional trauma that we have never been called on before to manifest. And that Trudeau's idiosyncratic combination of willfully blind ignorance, moral pretension, and narcissistic self-aggrandizement is so toxic that it borders on, if does not cross the line, into outright treason. I pray we have in Canada something in reserve that is better, although it is truly hard to see how anything different from what we have now could be worse.